In a COVID-ridden world, can singing in a choir be bad for your health? I've had a go at distilling the various scientific theories around coronavirus and choral singing. As the Western world slowly emerges from lockdown, prohibition of one particular activity may continue for months, maybe even years. Choral singing has literally changed people's lives for the better. In choirs I've worked with, I've met singers who joined after losing loved ones and found a new zest for life through the joining of a choir. Many studies have shown that singing, particularly when done in a group, is incredibly beneficial for one's physical and mental health. So for many singers, it's been highly distressing to see some recent headlines which have painted a grim picture for the prospect of choral singing during the pandemic. First things first, what guidance is currently being given by various countries with regards to choral singing? In the UK, as things stand, advice appears to be all but non-existent, but for the advice regarding church reopenings, which states, activities such as singing and/or playing instruments should be avoided. In the Netherlands, all communal singing is advised against. Given that one of the well-known case studies on choir superspreaders concerned a choral performance at Amsterdam's Concertgebouw, their caution is perhaps understandable. In Norway, choirs of up to 50 are able to sing together, so long as the performers are separated by a meter's distance. In Germany, rules vary by region. Some have banned communal singing altogether, whereas some have said it can go ahead, but only with a distance of 3 meters between each performer. So, why is singing in the time of coronavirus thought to be so risky? Many scientists are saying that singing projects exhaled air further away than normal speech does. We know that COVID is principally transferred through human-to-human contact and respiratory droplets. What's more in contention is the extent to which the virus is airborne. William Rushenpart is a chemical engineer at the University of California, and he believes that airborne transmission of coronavirus may be more of a risk than we realise. In a Zoom interview with the New York Times, he stated that a potentially bigger issue comes from particles you can't see, called aerosols, which are so light that they travel wherever the air currents take them. Think of it like smells. If someone on the other side of your house starts baking chocolate chip cookies, eventually you smell the chocolate aroma. In a poorly ventilated room, aerosols would accumulate. An infectious diseases researcher at University College Los Angeles points to projection as a particular problem with singing, saying that, really trying to project your voice would also project more droplets and aerosols. The US equivalent of Public Health England is the Centres for Disease Control, who have recently come under criticism for removing guidance with regards to singing in religious services. They've said that the role of aerosols in spreading the virus is currently uncertain. The Ludwig Maximilian University are currently researching this. They've undertaken an experiment with the Bavarian radio chorus and hope to report initial results later this month. It's worth saying that this is a point of some contention amongst scientists, not least those based in Munich. Professor Christian Kehler, an expert in fluid mechanics at the Military University of Munich, said that he was very doubtful that musicians and singers were spreading the virus. He's been studying droplets and aerosols for decades, and after the initial reports of choir superspreaders emerged, conducted experiments in how strong the airflow was coming from singers and musicians in general. He concluded that 1 or 2 instruments did pose a risk, particularly the flute, and somewhat remarkably, that in the case of singing, air was only propelled about half a metre in front of the singer. Putting the military university study's conclusions aside for the time being, what can we do to make singing safer in the pandemic? One of the few, if not the only, live recordings of a choir that I've seen in these past months is that of Collegium 1704, a Baroque orchestra and vocal ensemble based in Prague. The singers are all wearing masks, and interestingly, certainly to me as a Brit, there doesn't appear to be any physical distancing between any of the performers. So, can face masks be effective in containing the virus within a choral setting? The University of Munich project are looking into this too, as well as the potential use of plastic visors. With the latter, they've so far found that the aerosols will hit the shield and then move around it, entering into the room after that. So, as far as they're concerned, they're meaningless, unfortunately. As for masks, I presume we'll find out a bit more about that later this month as well. And what about physical distancing? Does it need to be increased for performers compared to regular guidelines for everyday life? The guidance around aerosols and droplets notwithstanding, what distance is currently considered safe? In the UK, so far as larger scale music making is concerned, some session work has resumed, including the recording of music for Series 4 of The Crown at Air Studios in Hampstead. Air Studio's website states that musicians should be separated by at least 2 metres. The Musicians' Union have called for specified distancing rules to be reduced, particularly in cases where performers are playing side by side and so not facing one another. Scientists in the UK have spoken about the 2 metre rule, and the reduction to 1 metre that some are expecting, to be all about timing. They say that spending 6 seconds at a distance of 1 metre from someone is the equivalent of spending a whole minute at a distance of 2 metres. In that sense, the reluctance to relax this rule is understandable, given that many venues aren't big enough to fit in the necessary number of performers with that level of physical distancing in place. It's also the case that a session or performance is likely to last anywhere up to 90 minutes, as per MU rules, before a suitable break. Nonetheless, many performers remain concerned about the strictness of physical distancing rules. Even a small reduction could mean that they're able to start up again in a limited capacity. There's no getting away from the fact that a lot of scientists do believe that choral singing has helped to spread COVID, but it's not controversial to say that others disagree. All of the newspaper articles that I've studied can be found in the description below this video. It's far from certain what will happen next. We need to continue to monitor the guidance that scientists give and proceed with the utmost caution. We can but hope we're able to sing together again soon. How have you or your choir managed to keep singing in the middle of the pandemic? Let me know in the comments below. I'll be producing more content in the coming weeks and months. If you're interested in seeing it, do subscribe to my channel so that you can stay informed. Thanks for watching. This is a worrying time for those involved in the English choral tradition. Already, York Minster has announced the closure of their choir school, so please do consider donating to the Cathedral Choir's emergency fund set up by Friends of Cathedral Music and the Ouseley Trust, ensuring that another generation of children are able to receive the best musical education they can get. You can find the link at the top right of this video or in the description.